everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, and as the title says, I'm here for my year in books. I've spent the last 30 or 45 minutes pulling all the books down. And before I started this, I should have gotten January's. I should have gotten them in order. I'll be right back. I have January's books in order. Let me grab. Oh no, I finished at the end of 2022. Okay, so the first one I finished in January was The Labors of Hercules. I gave this 4 stars. This is by Agatha Christie. And this was where Poirot was ready to take his final bow, but he wanted to help. I believe it was, he wanted to do a series of 12 tests. And so it was kind of like little short stories, but not exactly told like that. So it was more like he was helping 12 people, so to speak. And it was really a good book, and I really enjoyed it. So that was my first read of 2023. The next one, best I can recollect, Cape Refuge by Terry Blackstock. This was the first book I read by Terry Blackstock. This was the first in a series. I finished this on the 7th. I gave it 4 stars. I really like this. This was about 2 sisters whose parents were found murdered in their church, and there was a lot of speculation that it was one of the ex-convicts that they kept housed in their it was like a group home. They helped them, start over. 4 stars, really good, and I'm looking forward to finishing the series. Okay, was a library book? No, it was a Kindle read. It was Inside Out and Back Again, and this was telling of a little girl and her mother and brother coming to the States to start over. Her father was like missing in action, and they were just trying to, hold on to hope. And this was told in verse, and this I gave 4 stars to. The next one was Love Comes Softly. This is my favorite Jeanette Oke book, and I feel like it's I kind of feel like it's my husband's and my story. Not that we have children or anything, but I just feel like the story is ours, just the way that their love happens. 5 stars. It's always the 5 stars every time I read it. And her husband and her are going west, and he dies one morning, and they're like newly married. She's 19, and she's pregnant. You find that out really early. And Clark and is a single father. His wife has passed away, and he tells her she can stay with him. They'll marry. She can stay with him, help him raise, help him for the next year with his daughter. He will, he's not expecting anything but to cook, for her to cook, and, help him out. And he'll give her the money for the wagon train if that's what she wants when spring comes. And so it's just a really powerful love story, and I just absolutely adore it. Black Cake, I gave it by Charmaine Wilkerson. I gave this 5 stars. This is about a brother and sister. They're estranged. Their mother dies and leaves a recording of her life, and they find out that their mother's life was not exactly what they thought. So then I read Great Expectations, 5 stars. This is by Charles Dickens. I read this in high school twice. I read it when I moved to a new school, and then when I moved back, they were reading it. And I still love this book. And this is about Pip, and he comes into some money, and becomes a gentleman, and then his benefactor reveals who they are, and he is very surprised. Very good story. I need to stop telling y'all about all these books because I'm never going to get through all these books. All right, the next one is Phantoms by Dean Koontz. 5 stars, excellent read. Loved this book. Moving on. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is a wonderful book. Oh, it was so good. I gave this book 4 stars, but it is such a good read. Oh, it was such a good read. And it is set in Paris. Oh, it's amazing. All right. Next, I finished this little Bible study, Genesis Foundations of Grace. And it is just a wonderful read, and so many helps. And then Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, 4 stars, loved it. And you know, everybody knows what Romeo and Juliet is. I like these No Fear Shakespeare's because it's got in Shakespearean language and then in regular everyday language. Okay, so that was January's. And I'm going to go ahead and put this other one in here because I'm not sure when I finished it. It's a poetry by this gentleman right here. I don't know how to say his name. And I'm not sure when I finished this poetry. I was reading it for the Around the World in 80 Days readathon. And so I didn't record the date. So February, I read Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. 5 stars. Love this book. And there's also an adaptation out about that. Most of her most of her books there are. Next, I finished Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. This was my first time reading it. 4 stars. I liked it. Wasn't one I would normally read, but I was very surprised and I enjoyed it. I'm glad I had the chance to read it. Next, I read for the first time House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, and 5 stars, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series at the end of January. I'll probably read it in February. So awesome. So then we have the next book I read in February was A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. 5 stars. I cried. This is an exceptional series. I've not yet read the 3rd one because I just acquired it within the last month. But I have plans to finish this series in the new year. And it is amazing. So if you get a chance and you like Francine Rivers, but you have yet to pick this series up, this is the first one. And it is Danger in the Shadows by Dee Henderson. I finished it on the 12th in February. 4 stars. This is the beginning of a series. It's actually the prequel, and it was really good. All right. Next, I read Black Coffee by Agatha Christie, and this was the 2nd or 3rd time I have read this book, and it's actually large print. My sister actually sent this one to me. And she sent to me a couple, I don't even know when, but a couple years ago, she said that, the library had gotten rid of it where she lived, and she'd sent it to me. So I enjoyed it. 5 stars, and I enjoy it every time I read it. And then I had issues with another book later on, and if I would have remembered this book, I would have known the answer to my own question. All right. Then I picked up my first book by R.F. Kuang that I have read, Babel. This is a dark academia with some magic in it. It's an arcane history. This is, oh my goodness. I suggest that anybody who likes dark academia read this. I loved it. Babel, 5 stars. This is written amazingly. She is such an awesome writer. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. All right, going into March. Auntie Lee's Delights. I read this on Kindle. This was a little cozy mystery. I was still reading Around the World in 80 Days. This was, I don't know, I guess this was Singapore. And I gave this 3 stars, but it was cute. I liked it. You know, it's cozy little mystery. So somebody dies, and Auntie Lee, who owns the little bistro, cafe, diner, whatever, solves the murder. So then I read my first Jamie Jo Wright book. This was a lot of first time authors for me this year. This book, this has become one of my favorite authors with this book. She is amazing, and this book is incredible. In fact, I've recommended it to another booktuber for her, 12 reads. She asked me, she asked me to recommend a book, and this is the one I recommended to her. She's never read a Jamie Jo Wright, so this is the one I recommended. This is about Rin Blythe, and her dad is in ministry, and so she goes and works at the summer camp. And it's also about Ava Coons, who back in 1930 comes out of the woods dragging a bloodied axe, and they find her family. Well, they don't find her family. She's 13 at the time, and she can't remember what happened to them. It is incredible. Incredible. Okay. So, some books just stay with you, and that book has just stayed with me. Next, I read the second book in the Cape Refuge series, Southern Storm. And this one, the chief has been, is missing, and they don't know if he's run off to get married, or is he really, or is he, just missing. I gave this one 5 stars. I really like this one. I need to find a different stack. All right, next was a buddy read with my sister. I read Stephen King's 11/22/63, and this was a what if book. What if somebody had a time machine and could go back and stop the assassination of JFK? What would happen? And this really makes you think, and it was amazing. 5 stars, and it was long, but it was so interesting, and I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I know my sister did too. All right, and then the end of March, I read Echoes in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. This is book 2, and I won't say anything about this one because this is the second book in that series. All right, and then I don't have a date for this one, but I think I read it right around the time. I think I finished it right around the time I finished Echoes in the Darkness, so I'm going to put it up here. At Bertram's Hotel. And this is by Agatha Christie, 5 stars. And I missed one. But this is a Miss Marple, and she goes to visit Bertram's Hotel. And of course, where she is, there's always a murder. All right. And also on the 18th, right after I finished, no, before I finished Southern Storm, I finished Murder in an Irish Village. I gave this 4 stars, and this is about a cafe owner and her brother and her brother. I think she's just got the one brother. Her family, her siblings, have a cafe, and they find somebody dead in their cafe. Okay. All right. I'll be back. Okay. So we are now in April. And so the first one I finished was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. I gave this 4 stars. This was recommended to me by my sister Julie. The next one I finished, I do not have anymore. I dedicated it to my niece's little free library. And it is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It is about video games. This is by Gabrielle Zevin. The next one I finished, I'm trying to make sure I don't have any Kindle books. This was probably my slowest reading month. Yeah, it is. Okay, the next one I finished was, I restarted my Odd Thomas series, but I started it with Brother Odd. So I finished this on the 11th of April, 5 stars, of course. All right, next, I read in this book, it's a bind-up of 5 of Agatha Christie's novels of Hercule Poirot. I read the ABC Murders, and I gave it 5 stars. I'm going to set this back over here because we will see it again. The next book I read was The Resting Place by Camilla Stein. And this is translated by Alexandra Fleming. And I really hope I can find some more by this author, because I really love her work. And I hope we get more books from her. All right. The next one I found on somebody's YouTube channel, and I had to have it. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. And it got 5 stars from me. Y'all, I am very liberal with my 5 stars. If I enjoy the book, and one, if it can make me cry, it gets 5 stars. And this book definitely made me cry. So, 5 stars. And then the last one that I read in April was The Collective. And I gave this 4 stars. This is by Allison Galen. All right, moving on to May. This was picked out by my mom. She wanted to know what the secret was. This is by Kate Alice Marshall, What Lies in the Woods. I gave this 5 stars. Which is weird because I didn't remember liking it that much. The next one, Simone St. James's The Haunting of Maddie Clare. Definitely 5 stars. I love this author. And probably will rate every book she writes 5 stars. She has a new one coming out in January, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw that down there. The next one, The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. This was a first time read for this author for me. 4 stars. The next book I finished was Sally Hepworth's The Soulmate. This is another new to me author, And I did tab this book up. Not sure why. I'm not sure why I'm putting these books over here on my foot. I have a stack over here. All right, the next book I read was amazing. I had heard about it, and I just picked it up one day and read it, and this was amazing, guys. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This is amazing. The writing in here is wonderful, and the relationships in here are wonderful, and it's just beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, and the last one that I finished was Anne of Green Gables, and I gave this, I think, I'm gonna find it. Yes, 5 stars. Like I said, if it can make me cry, it gets 5 stars. And this is illustrated, and it was pretty amazing too. Okay, so now we are moving on to June. In June, I read 20 books, I believe, and in July, I read 20 books. So I think, all right, there we go. Now it's not just me. Look like a floating head there. Okay. Now, okay, the first book in June that I finished was Book Lovers, and I love this book. This is like one of my favorite Emily Henry books so far, and I gave it 5 stars because I don't have it any longer. All the Dangerous Things by Stacy Willingham, I gave this 4 stars. I finished this on the 5th. June's books go on forever. This one is next. All right. So then I finished Agatha Christie, A Caribbean Mystery, and I gave this 5 stars. Miss Marple goes on vacation, and we meet Mr. Raphael. All right. Then I read The Big Dark Sky by Dean Koontz, and it got 5 stars. And I also read Wolf at the Door by Laura Morgan. I think that was, yeah, Laura Morgan. And this is about an animal whisperer. And this was 4 stars. It was also a cozy mystery, though. Okay, that's it on that night. Next, we have The Wilder Women by Ruth Emmy Lang. And I gave this 5 stars. Then I finished Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie, 5 stars. And this has to do with, this has Hercule Poirot in it. Murder in Mesopotamia, as if you couldn't tell, it's a Hercule Poirot. Oh, no, those don't go in there. I have some books that I'm selling on Pango, and so as I go through, I'm trying to, separate them. All right, then we have Cards on the Table from this book. 5 stars. Then I finished my read through of Jane Eyre, 5 stars. I don't have this book any longer. Things We Do in the Dark, 3 stars. This is by Jennifer Hillier. Becoming Michelle Obama, 5 stars. This was a very good book. I enjoyed it. I should have finished that other They Do It with Mirrors by Agatha Christie. This is a Miss Marple. And so finished Odd Hours by Dean Koontz, 5 stars. And I read an abridged version of Moby Dick, 4 stars, and I will consider, this is by Herman Melville, I will consider reading the full length at one point in my life. Maybe. I will consider it. All right. Now, that is out of the way. All right. Andrew McCall Smith, The #1 Ladies Detective Agency, 3 stars. I read The Missing Years by Lexi Elliott, 4 stars. This one was a really good book. I got this in a box. Thriller mystery box. I don't even remember what. Anyway, I discontinued them. So, The Silent Corner by Dean Koontz, 5 stars. This is about Jane Hawk. He has several, I think, in this series. And then, one of my most anticipated reads of the year, The Only One Left by Riley Sager, 5 stars. This man outdid himself on this book. I absolutely loved this book. Oh my goodness, I will rave about this book. This is about, if I can remember names, I loved it. Anyway, then I've read The Summer of Broken Rules. People love this book. Not me. 4 stars. And I was being generous. I read Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. It was good. There was a twist I was not expecting. So, 4 stars. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I read this again later in the year. I will not probably bring it back up, though. All right, and that was all of June. Beach read. I did like this one quite a bit. 5 stars. Oh, sorry. Night School. I'm shocked. This was only 4 stars for me. Usually my Jack Reacher books are always 5 stars. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Again, I read this little abridged version. 4 stars. Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. 4 stars. This was not my favorite of hers, but I did enjoy it. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I gave this 4 stars, and I did annotate it. These people were mean. The House on Foster Hill by Jamie Jo Wright. I gave this 5 stars. Odd Interlude by Dean Koontz, 5 stars. And this is just like a novella. It's well, it's 279. No, that's not even right. That's part of the other book. It's only 253 pages, so it is a novella. Next was Dark Corners by Megan Golden. 4 stars. Divine Arrivals was next. 4 stars. Because I didn't like the ending. I am reading the second one, but I still didn't like the ending. Up here, Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. 3 stars. Wayward by Amelia Hart. 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. There were a couple scenes in it that were a little graphic, but other than that, it was a good book. Next, I finished The Lion Game by Ruth Ware, and I enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai, and I gave this 4 stars. It was a really cute fake dating trope. Brother's best friend. And yeah. Then I read The First Ladies, and this is by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. And this is about Mary Bethune McLeod and Eleanor Roosevelt and their friendship. And this was really good. I gave this 5 stars. Next, I read The Last Word, and I gave this 4 stars, and I have a whole page written in my notebook, and I have a regular size notebook, because of the way that this book ended. I was pretty upset that the night I finished this, but I mean, it was good, but I was upset with the ending because it didn't end the way I wanted it to. But I'm not the writer, you know, and Taylor Adams is, and he can write the book the way he wants to, because, or the way the way he wants to, because his name's on it. Okay, so anyway, I'll put the next one up here because I no longer have this one. She Started It, 4 stars. This is by Cian Gilbert. The next one, Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is probably my favorite so far of her books. Yeah. Elsie is a physicist. They're a theoretical physicist. And she also, because she doesn't make enough money to pay her loans back, she also like goes out on dates with guys, and they pay her to be their girlfriend. And so what's his name? Jack's brother is dating her, and so yeah, it's a big ordeal. So this was really good. 5 stars, and I want to read this again. What's next? This, I guess, is the last one. Oh, yeah, besides that one. All right. Agatha Christie's Closed Casket, written by Sophie Hannah. 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. She's taken over Hercule Poirot, and she's doing a good job. I've read 2 of her books. And then the last one for July was Echoes Among the Stones by Jamie Jo Wright. 5 stars. Just an amazing read. All right, I'm going to get through August, September, October, and November, and then I'm going to move up to my desk and finish. I'm going to do December, what I've read through up to now, and I'm missing one of my November, so I'll show it to you when I get up there. Because I left it on the shelf and it's way up yonder. But it was the last one I read in November. So, oh wait, this book I did not read. So let me just stick it back in here. Okay, now for August, I'm gonna go ahead and show this one. This is The Faithful Spy by John Hendricks, and I gave this 4 stars. This was very interesting. I read this on Kindle, and not what I was expecting. Not at all what I was expecting. All right, and then we go on to, gotta figure out where I'm at. Oh, here we go. I finally finished The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I gave it 4 stars. That's all I'm going to say about that. I did my read on Odd Apocalypse by Dean Koontz, and it got 5 stars. You guessed it. Then I read The Cottage on Ghost Lane by Christy Barrett, and this was recommended to me by my friend Chris, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. I am interested in continuing that series. Then I read a book I've been putting off since I read The Silent Patient, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and this was really good, and 5 stars, and I wished I hadn't put it off for so long. The next book I finished was Agatha Christie's Poirot Investigates, and of course, 5 stars. I read Sarah Adams's book When in Rome, and it got 5 stars. She has very clean romances. It's closed door, and just a wonderful little cutesy romance. All right, then I read Catherine Center, The Bodyguard, and really enjoyed it. It's very clean as well. 4 stars. Every Summer After, did not enjoy this one as much, but I did give it 4 stars. This is by Carly Fortune. Read Fairy Tale, a buddy read with my sister. This is by Stephen King. This is fantasy, and it is extremely worth the read. 5 stars. If you like fantasy, you will love this book. If you like Stephen King, you will too. Then I read the 3rd in the Waiting for Spring series, and I gave it 4 stars. And my last read of August was Catherine Center's Hello Stranger, and I gave it 5 stars. I really like this. She is hit by a car, and they do an operation on her, and she develops face blindness, and it's really, really good. All right, now we go to August. That's not August. I think this is August. I didn't have very many books in August because there was one big buddy read. I finally finished Park Avenue Summer by Renee Rosen, and I really enjoyed this. 5 stars. This was a book I saw on BookTube from one of the bigger BookTube people, and she was reading it, and it was really good. Next, I finished Abby Jimenez's Yours Truly, and this is my favorite by her so far that I've read. I loved Part of Your World, which I did not tell you that I read. I didn't put it on the screen, but I read that, I can remember now, back in June. This is the second one to that. It's her best friend, and they are doctors, both main characters. 5 stars, by the way. Then the huge buddy read that I did with my friend Chris, The Covenant of Water. I gave it 4 stars. This is by Abraham Verghese. I'm just going to move on from that. Whispering Pines. This was the Upside Down Readathon. I gave this 5 stars. I then read Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I gave that 4 stars. I read The Stranger Upstairs. I gave that 4 stars. And I finished the month out with The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, and I gave that 5 stars. All right, moving on to October. Oh, wait. No. Not done. Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. I gave that 5 stars. That's one of my first reads in September. And then The Reckoning at Gossamer Pond. I gave that 5 stars. That was my last read in September. All right. These Kindle books are what get me. All right, now. October, I started with These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Incredible. I cannot wait to read the next book in this series. 5 stars. I read The September House, 5 stars. This is by Carissa Orlando. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie, 5 stars. Peril at End House, 5 stars. Agatha Christie. Dracula. This is by Dacre Stoker and J.D. Barker. 4 stars. This was a different twist on Dracula. If you like Dracula, I would suggest reading it. It's very, very different. All right. When I'm Dead by Hannah Morrissey. 4 stars, but I really want to read the others in this series. Jennifer McMahon's My Darling Girl, 4 stars. Lisa Jules, None of This Is True, 4 stars. Then I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, 4 stars. I picked up a little novella, and I read It Really Is a Wonderful Life. That was 4 stars. The Haunting of Bonaventure Circus, 4 stars. I wonder what was wrong with that one. And then Sheriff Reagan's Christmas Boots by Lynette Bonner, 3 stars. And I also finished The Sisters of Seaview by Julie Clausen, and I gave this 5 stars. I really liked this book. All right. Now, on to November reads. This was a buddy read with Hannah from the Teachers TBR. Stephen King's Holly. I gave it 5 stars, and it would have been on my favorite list, but I had so many favorites, it was hard to narrow them down. I read The Curse of Misty Wayfair and met my favorite male character from her books, from Jamie Jo Wright's books, and 5 stars. Ruth Ware's 0 Days, 5 stars. I did my reread of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I went ahead and just showed it again. Still 5 stars. All right. The Monogram Murder, Agatha Christie's Poirot by Sophie Hannah, 4 stars. It's still a great read. Really liked it. Very complex characters, and she did a really good job. I did my first read of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This was the Little Women Readathon, and I loved this book. This was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The Happy Ever After Playlist by Abby Jimenez, 5 stars. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, 4 stars. All right, now I'm going to put these books away, which is going to take me a little while. Not for you. It'll be just a second, and I'll be over at my desk, and I will give you what I've read so far in December and show you my last book that I read in the month of November. I have all my books put away except what I've read in December so far. All right, and the last one I read in November was Cece's Journal, and this finished up my Little Women Readathon. So this is by George Chamberlain and Arielle Nayret. The first one I read was 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie, and I gave it 5 stars. It was a buddy read, and I will link. No, I won't. No, I won't. All right. The next was Crooked House by Agatha Christie, and I gave this one 4 stars. Now, this was for the Christie's Missing Readathon, is what these were for, which was The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This also went for my Reindeer Readathon. This was 5 stars. Then I read The Secret by Lee Child and Andrew Child, and this was 5 stars, and this was for the Reindeer Readathon. I then read The Moving Finger by Agatha Christie, and this was 5 stars. This is still for the Christie's Missing. I read The Sittaford Mystery by Agatha Christie, 5 stars. I had to have a book with mystery in the title. 5 stars. The Harlequin Tea Set and Other Stories, 5 stars. This is by Agatha Christie. And thus completes my Agatha Christie readathon. Alright, the next book I completed was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, 5 stars. This was very good. Alright, and then I read The Hound and the Fury by Sandra Orchard, and this had to have multiple animals on it for my Reindeer Readathon, 4 stars. The Good Guy by Dean Koontz. I had to have the same letter as my star sign, and I'm a Gemini, 5 stars. In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This was my last Ruth Ware book that I have to read until she comes out with a new one. 5 stars. This was set in a place that that I've never been and I want to be. I'd like to visit. Illuminae, the Illuminae Files, 5 stars. I forget, one of the reindeer, I can't remember if it takes place in another world or Nemesis by Agatha Christie. This one had to be published before I was born or this year. This one was published in it was copyrighted in 1971, so that was before I was born. It was also my Kindle read, so Shepherds Abiding by Jan Kieran. My husband is standing there, and I don't know what he's wanting. 5 stars. This was a buddy read with my friend Chris. And lastly, I have finished Dean Koontz's Deeply Odd, 5 stars. Okay, so that is my reads for the year, and I don't know if I'll get any more read. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, just hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.